Today is a very auspicious day. Cleaning of Gundica temple, Gundica Mandir Marjanam, that is as adivas, as preparation for tomorrow's big festival, that is of course Ratha Yatra in Jagannath Puri. So Mahaprabhu was doing his pastimes in Jagannath Puri. In this way, the Lord passed, I'm reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where this pastime is described. In this way, the Lord passed some days in great jubilation. Then the car festival of Lord Jagannath approached. Car festival means Ratha Yatra. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first of all called for Kashi Mishra, then for the superintendent of the temple, then for Sarvam Bhattacharya. When these three people came before the Lord, he begged them for permission to wash the temple known as Gundica. Gundica name is after queen of Indradyumna Maharaj, by whose devotion Jagannath Dev appeared in this world. So his queen was Gundica. Upon hearing the Lord's request for permission to wash the Gundica temple, the Poricha, or the superintendent of the temple, said, "My dear sir, we are all your servants. Whatever you desire is our duty to perform. The king gave a special order for me to do without delay whatever your lordship orders." King was also a devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. "My dear Lord, washing the temple is not service befitting you. Nonetheless, if you wish to do so, it is to be accepted as one of your pastimes. To wash the temple, you need many water pots and brooms. Therefore, order me, I can immediately bring all these things to you." As soon as the superintendent understood the desire of the Lord, he immediately delivered 100 new water pots and 100 brooms for sweeping the temple. The next day, early in the morning, means on today's Tithi, the Lord took his personal associates with him and with his own hand smeared sandalwood pulp on their bodies. He then gave each a devotee a broom with his own hand, and taking all of them personally with him, the Lord went to Gundica. In this way, the Lord and his associates went to cleanse the Gundica temple. At first, they cleansed the temple with the brooms. The Lord cleansed everything inside the temple very nicely, including the ceiling. In India, these temples, they are made of stone. So, as will be later described, they are throwing water up and that will fall down. In this way, they are cleaning the ceiling also. He then took up the sitting place, Singhasan, cleansed it, and again put it in its original place. Thus the Lord and his companions cleansed and swept all the temple's buildings, big and small, and finally cleansed the area between the temple and the Kirtan hall. Temple is where the deity is. So Kirtan hall is where devotees they meet for doing Kirtan and for hearing Harikatha. Indeed, hundreds of devotees were engaged in cleansing all around the temple, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally carrying out the operation just to instruct others. By his own example, he was teaching. He himself was doing, and in this way he was teaching others. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu washed and cleansed the temple in great jubilation, chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna all the time. Similarly, all the devotees were also chanting and at the same time performing their respective duties. In great jubilation, Premola said, because real devotees, they have relation with Krishna, really they want to please him, they want to serve him, they have no any other desire, so they are getting that bliss in serving Krishna. Conditioned souls, we have no liking to serve Krishna because of not feeling that loving relation and having so many other desires. So we don't like to do service. But here, Mahaprabhu and these pure devotees, they are in great happiness, they are doing service. And with hand and also all the time chanting the name. The entire beautiful body of the Lord was covered with dust and dirt. In this way, it became transcendently beautiful. At times, when cleansing the temple, the Lord shed tears, and in some places he even cleansed with those tears. After this, the place where the deity's foot was kept, Bhoga Mandir, separate room is there for this. It should not be mixed with other things and where people are going and coming. That should be kept very pure. Even with your plate from which you are eating, you should not enter that room. Not touching anything, but even you cannot enter. So that is fully separate for Krishna. This we have to learn, to keep things which are for Krishna separately for him, so that they are pure to be offered, should not mix with other. Then the yard was cleansed, and then all the residential quarters, one after the other. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu collected all this straw, dust and grains of sand in one place, he gathered it all in his cloth and threw it outside. Following the example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the devotees, in great jubilation, began to gather straws and dust with their own cloths and throw them outside the temple. The Lord then told the devotees, I can tell how much you have labored and how well you have cleansed the temple simply by seeing all the straw and dust you have collected outside. Even though all the devotees collected dirt in one pile, the dirt collected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was much greater. After the inside of the temple was cleansed, the Lord again allotted areas for the devotees to cleanse. The Lord then ordered everyone to cleanse the inside of the temple very perfectly by taking finer dust, straws and grains of sand and throwing them outside. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Vaishnavas cleansed the temple for the second time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy to see the cleansing work. While the temple was being swept, about 100 men stood ready with filled water pots, and they simply awaited the Lord's order to throw the water from them. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called for water, all the men immediately brought the 100 water pots, which were completely filled, and delivered them before the Lord. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first washed the main temple and then thoroughly washed the ceiling the walls, the floor, the sitting place in Singhasana, and everything else within the room. Yes, now it will be mentioned. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself and his devotees began to throw water onto the ceiling. When this water fell, it washed the walls and floor. It is possible because it's not like wood, like here. Everything is stone, so there is no harm if you throw water. And I saw in our Mayapur mat, also in Kolkata to some extent, but in Mayapur I saw, after cooking is done and bhog is offered and prasad is distributed, then they will take out all the pots and they will clean outside their kitchen, and one brahmachari will go to kitchen with that, I don't know how it is called, rubber, that Schlauch is in Germany. Like a pipe or something, that rubber thing from which water is coming out with current. So he was doing like this everywhere on the like table, like where you cut vegetables, and everywhere. Just with that water, he splashed everything, and ceiling, walls, everything with water, and then everything will fall down. Then with that wiper, everything will be all the water and everything will be put out, and then kitchen is very clean. Very good system. Not difficult system. Everywhere water and just you wipe. So here also they were doing like this, but at that time there was no pipe. By water pots they were throwing up. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to wash the sitting place of Lord Jagannath with his own hands, and all the devotees began to bring water to the Lord. Because Jagannath will come tomorrow, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to clean for him. That is service. And he was very happy to see how everything became clean. All the devotees within the temple began to wash. Each one had a broom in his hand, and in this way they cleansed the temple of the Lord. Someone brought water to pour into the hands of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and someone poured water on his lotus feet. The water that fell from the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was drunk by someone who hid himself. Someone else begged for that water, and another person was giving that water in charity. That water that has washed the lotus feet of Supreme Lord is sacred. It can liberate you from this Maya and can give you the service of Krishna. Same is water that has washed the lotus feet of pure devotee. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, is God. But now in the mood of devotee, so all devotees, they did this, but in such a way that Mahaprabhu did not know. Because pure devotees, they don't like that someone should wash their feet and then drink that, because they're always very humble. No, I'm an insignificant person. Why? So they did it in a secret way. After the room was washed, the water was let out through an outlet, and it then flowed and filled the yard outside. In our Mayapur kitchen also, there is one hole like that in the bottom of that wall, and all the water you will wipe out through that hole, and that will go in drain, and kitchen is fully clean. The Lord mopped the rooms with his own clothes, and he polished the throne with them also, cloth. That is why Pujari should always have totally clean cloth when going to worship. And if he will sleep or touch the bed or something, he has to change that cloth. Completely clean cloth you have to have for worship. Even you should not touch some prasad. What to speak of uchishta, remnants. Even if you touch prasad and with that hand, you then touch your cloth. With that cloth you cannot go inside the temple for worship. So Pujari has to be very careful. He will change his cloth when he will take prasad and to do other things, and cloth for worship is separate. In this way, all the rooms were cleansed, and asan also has to be clean. Everything has to be clean for the service of Krishna. In this way, all the rooms were cleansed with 100 water pots. After the rooms had been cleansed, the minds of the devotees were as clean as the rooms. When you do service of Krishna, and here they did direct this service of cleaning for him, then automatically your mind is purified, pure. When the temple was cleansed, it was purified, cool and pleasing, just as if the Lord's own pure mind had appeared, means of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Since hundreds of men were engaged in bringing water from the lake, there was no place to stand on the banks. Consequently, someone began to draw water from a well. This was before a system. There were rivers with pure water and lakes with pure water, and everything they did with that. There was no this system, and there was no pollution. Everything was natural. Those cups made of leaves and plates, no plastic and all these things. So you could use. Nowadays, because of progress of Kali Yuga, everything is becoming polluted. So it is very difficult to maintain. That is why only chanting of Harinam can rescue us in this Kali Yuga. Hundreds of devotees brought water in the pots, and hundreds took the empty pots away to fill them up again. With the exception of Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Sarup Damodar, Brahmananda Bharati, and Paramananda Puri, everyone was engaged in filling the water pots and bringing them there. Before, those who wanted to renounce and they went to forest to live, they could live because every water was drinking water. And they could find some fruits, roots, and this in the forest. They could live and do bhajan. Now it is very difficult to get such things. So much effort is to be given for this maintenance because of Kali Yuga, everything becoming polluted. So Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Sarup Damodar, Brahmananda Bharati, and Paramananda Puri, everyone was engaged in filling the water pots and bringing them there. With the exception of them, they were not doing this seva. Many of the water pots were broken when people collided with one another, and hundreds of men had to bring new water pots to fill. Some people were filling the pots, and others were washing the rooms, but everyone was engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna and Hari. When they were doing seva, service, all the time they were chanting Harinam. I heard from one devotee who was serving in our Vienna temple for some time that Srila Muni Maharaj, he told, he instructed all devotees, when you are doing any kind of seva, cleaning, cooking, or whatever you are doing, always you have to chant Harinam while doing. If you are not chanting Harinam while doing that seva, it will be like karma. It will not be devotion. So always you have to chant Harinam. That is proper. In Vrindavan also, all the cowherd boys, gopis and everyone, they are doing their sevas and simultaneously all the time they are repeating Harinam. Golokero Premadhan Harinama Sankirtan. Always Harinam Sankirtan is in background with all sevas. One person begged for a water pot by chanting the holy names Krishna Krishna, and another delivered a pot while chanting Krishna Krishna. Whenever anyone had to speak, he did so by uttering the holy name of Krishna. Consequently, the holy name of Krishna became an indication for everyone who wanted something. Like our Maharaj, whenever he wanted to express something, then he would say, then you go there and Radhashyam. Or you tell him this, if he will not accept, then Radhashyam. Whenever he wanted to say something, then always you express that thought by saying Radhashyam. Then you will understand what is the by the mood you will understand what he wants to say, although he will say Radhashyam. So here also someone is again Krishna Krishna and another accepting, and if you want to ask something Krishna Krishna, that mood will be there. So in this way they will communicate. Yes. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was vibrating the holy name of Krishna in ecstatic love, he himself was performing the work of hundreds of men. This is proper leader. He will exceed all others. That is proper leader. Not nowadays, they will be behind and they will only order. No, that is not proper. You have to do yourself more, then you are a leader. It appeared as though Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were cleansing and washing with 100 hands. So eager was to serve. He approached every devotee just to teach him how to work, not out of false ego. I am teaching, no, because Mahaprabhu wanted that this service should be done properly for the service of Jagannath. His target was to satisfy Jagannath. So he wanted to engage everyone in service they should do properly for Jagannath's sake. When he saw someone doing nicely, the Lord praised him, but if he saw that someone was not working to his satisfaction, he immediately chastised that person, not bearing him any grudge. Means not out of malicious intent, to want to harm someone or belittle someone or something, but his target was to chastise them, to rectify them, that they should do it properly for the service of Jagannath. Not chastising them to feed his own frustration and ego and pride and like this. Conditioned soul, we do like this. We want to criticize others and to feed our false ego, false pride. But Mahaprabhu, Pavitra Bhartsan, pure chastisement. Here, this word is used. Mone na milile kore Pavitra Bhartsan, pure chastisement. That is without wrong motive, any selfish motive. No, fully pure motive. He wanted to correct them so that they would do proper service for Jagannath. The Lord would say, you have done well to those who did good seva, Please teach this to others so that they may act in the same way. As soon as they heard Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say this, everyone became ashamed. Thus the devotees began to work with great attention. They washed the Jagamohan area and then the place where food was kept, Bhoga Mandir. All other places were also washed. In this way, the meeting place was washed, that is where Kirtan and Harikatha is going on. The entire yard, the raised sitting places, the kitchen and every other room. Today I saw from our map format, they were live on Facebook, live broadcasting, how all the small boys who were Matavasis, they were cleaning with brooms, actual brooms, not wipers, brooms today they used, and with water pots that Nath Mandir, where devotees, they will gather for kirtan, for harikatha, and or dancing in front of Diti at the time of Arati. So they made it live broadcast. So I praised and bowed down all small boys. Very enthusiastically they were doing. And our Mat in charge, Sannyasi, Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Narayan Maharaj, he was leader. He was himself doing, as is proper. Himself, he was brooming with broom and with water. And all the other boys, they were also doing. Very nice to see. So this meeting place, Nath Mandir, where dancing is to be done, Nath Mandir, or drama Natak. Thus all places around the temple were thoroughly washed within and without. After everything was thoroughly washed, a Vaishnava from Bengal, who was very intelligent and simple, came and poured water on the lotus feet of the Lord. The Gauriya Vaishnava then took that water and drank it himself. Seeing that, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt a little unhappy and was also outwardly angry. Although the Lord was certainly satisfied with him inside, he became angry externally in order to establish the etiquette of religious principles. The Lord then called for, and he will explain why. The Lord then called for Swarup Damodar and told him, just see the behavior of your Bengali Vaishnava. Swarup Damodar, tomorrow we will observe his disappearance day. He was the secretary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, always by his side. So Mahaprabhu told him, you see, your Gauriya Vaishnava. Gauriya means from Bengal. Because Gaura is Bengal, that D with, it is not Gaudiya Mat, it is Gauriya Mat. That D with dot on down, so that is soft R, Gauriya, like Orissa. Now they started using letter D, Odisha, but it should be pronounced as Orissa, not Odisha. Orisha, this R is there, so also Gaura, not Gaura as Gauranga Mahaprabhu, that is normal R. But here it is softer, Gauriya. So he was originally from Bengal, that is, and because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in Bengal, it is said as Gauriya Vaishnavism, but it is of course not meant in the sense that this is Bengali, some worldly this area, and that those who are Bengalis, it is meant for them. No, this Vaishnavism is for all jivas. It only got this name because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in Gaura, means Bengal, and his mother tongue is Bengali. So, but it is for all. And it is not that the Gauriya Vaishnavas are those who are coming from Gauriya Math. Some people, they think like this. They are Gauriya Vaishnavas, means those who are in Gauriya Math. No, Gauriya Vaishnav is everyone who is following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even before Gauriya Math manifested in this world, all the Vaishnavas, they are Gauriya Vaishnavas. Prabhupada only gave the name Gauriya Math to make people understand that this is Math, monastery, for those who are practicing Gauriya Vaishnavism, means following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu is speaking Bengali, of course also Sanskrit and this, but Bengali. And in Golok Vrindavan, in Transcendental Realm, in Golok Vrindavan, there are two departments or two compartments. One is Vrindavan, where Radha and Krishna are doing pastimes, that is in Madhurja, sweetness, lila. And another compartment is Audarja lila, munificence, mercy. There, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing his lila, where Radha Krishna are combined as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all devotees, and they are doing kirtan. So in Vrindavan, in Golok, they are speaking Hindi-like language, similar to Hindi. And in this Navadip, eternal Navadip, in Golok Vrindavan, they are speaking Bengali. And in Bengali, there is no letter V. It does not exist. So in Vrindavan, they will say Radha Vallabha, V, Radha Vallabha. But in Navadip, you will not hear Radha Vallabha. Everyone will say Radha Vallabha. That is why, and this Hare Ramo, Krishna. This is Bengali type of pronunciation. It is eternal also. Some special taste is in that way. So here, this Vaishnava was simple-hearted, and he was actually from Bengal and follower of Mahaprabhu. This person from Bengal has washed, Mahaprabhu is telling, has washed my feet within the temple of the personality of Godhead. Not only that, but he has drunk the water himself. I now do not know what my destination is because of this offense. Indeed, your Bengali Vaishnav has greatly implicated me. One should not accept any kind of worship or service or something in front of Supreme Lord. Even you should not bow down to anyone in front of Supreme Lord. That is improper behavior. Their main object of service is Supreme Lord. All others are to be his servant. Even in proper Grihastha ashram, family life of devotees, wife and husband, they may have that sort of relationship, but inside the temple, they are both, they have to behave as servants of Supreme Lord. And wife may, like outside, she will sometimes chastise husband, or husband will chastise wife, or they will quarrel like this. But that is strictly prohibited and should not have such a relation in front of deity. There, both have to be in the mood of being servants of Krishna and behave accordingly. wife cannot bow down to husband, and husband cannot bless wife in front of Supreme Lord like this. So it is totally different in there. Of course, those who are advanced devotees, they will have such behavior all the time, not only in front of deity. That is, of course, always necessary, at least at that time, in front. But those who are advanced devotees, those who are on Madhyam platform, they will have such a relationship all the time, everywhere, with everyone. So here Mahaprabhu is telling, you see what he did here. He took water, means he washed my feet and he drank that water. Of course, there was no fault because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is himself God. Or you may say like, or as a guru or pure devotee, that can be done. But Mahaprabhu here showed this as an example that no conditioned soul should try to do this in front of Supreme Lord, to behave in such a way as object of service. Wife also will not serve husband in front of deity in that way, in separate mood. There is one system is there, how they have to behave. At this point, Swarup Damodar Goswami caught the Gauriya Vaishnava by the neck and giving him a little push, ejected him from the Gundica Puri temple and made him stay outside. After Swarup Damodar Goswami returned within the temple, he requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to excuse that innocent person, because really he was simple-hearted. After this incident, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very satisfied. He then asked all of the devotees to sit down in 2 lines on both sides. Mahaprabhu wanted to teach this, that it is improper that one will behave in such a way in front of Supreme Lord or in his temple there. Now Jagannath was not there, but it was his room. And his throne was there, everything waiting for him. Yes. It is etiquette like that. The Lord then personally sat down in the middle and picked up all kinds of straw, grains and sand and dirty things. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was picking up the straws and grains of sand, he said, I shall gather everyone's collection and I shall ask whoever has collected less than all the others to pay a fine of sweet cakes and sweet rice. That is a kind of punishment for those who labored less, so they have to do, as a punishment, they have to do Vaishnav Seva, serve the devotees with this prasad. In this way, all the quarters of Gundica temple were completely cleansed and cleared. All quarters were cool and spotless, like one's cleansed and pacified mind. When the water from the different rooms was finally let out through the halls, it appeared as if new rivers were rushing out to meet the waters of the ocean. Outside the gateway of the temple, all the roads were also cleansed, and no one could tell exactly how this was done. Now here it is the commentary of Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He says, in commenting on the cleansing of the Gundica temple, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur says that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the world leader, was personally giving instructions on how one should receive Lord Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead within one's cleansed and pacified heart. If one wants to see Krishna seated in his heart, he must first cleanse the heart, as prescribed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikastaka, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. In this age, everyone's heart is especially unclean, means other desires are there. As confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Hrid Antah Stohi Abhadrani. To wash away all dirty things accumulated within the heart, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised everyone to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. The first result will be that the heart is cleansed. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam confirms this statement. Shrinvatam Swakatah Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Hridyantah Stohya Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhrit Satam. Our Srila Turiyashraya Maharaj used to recite this verse. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of a truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, means hearing Harikatha, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Properly means with service attitude. If a devotee at all wants to cleanse his heart, he must chant and hear the glories of the Lord Shri Krishna. Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna. This is a simple process. Krishna himself will help cleanse the heart because he is already seated there. Krishna wants to continue living within the heart, and the Lord wants to give directions, but one has to keep his heart as clean as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept the Gundica temple. The devotee therefore has to cleanse his heart just as the Lord cleansed the Gundica temple. In this way one can be pacified and enriched in devotional service. If one does this physical service like they did with Mahaprabhu, that is also a purifying process, and they were also chanting. That will also help because that is Krishna is giving us this opportunity to serve him in such a way in this world on the Archan mark, in deity worship. If the heart is filled with straw, grains of sand, weeds or dust, in other words, Anya Bilasita Purna. You know that verse of Rupa Goswami? Anya Bilasita Shunya. Our heart should be void, devoid of all other desires, Anya Bilas. But now our heart, if the heart is filled with this dirt, it is Anya Bilas Purna, full of. One cannot enthrone the Supreme Personality of Godhead there. Our Gurudev gave that example that we put outside board in above our door to our room, we put welcome Krishna. I'm inviting you, I'm calling you, welcome. Sign board, very big is there. But when Krishna comes and he will open the door, then he will see so much furniture is there and so many things and everything is packed up till the ceiling. Then what Krishna can do? How he can enter there? Where he will sit? Where he will rest? So there is no place for him. So then he has to go away. Although big sign is there, welcome, we say, yes, Krishna, I only want you, I'm calling you like this. But inside our heart, so many other desires for this and so many attachments. This is mine, this is everything, all this attachment. Then where Krishna will sit? We are chanting the name, calling him, but Krishna comes and then disappointed he has to go away because there is no place to see. The heart must be cleansed of all material motives brought about through fruitive work, karma. I will do this, I will enjoy that fruit. That is this mentality. Speculative knowledge, Gyan, I will liberate myself and I will merge in impersonal Brahma. And mystic yoga system, I will get mystical powers. All these desires are there in our heart. And so many other forms of so-called meditation for other targets. The heart must be cleansed without ulterior motive. As Srila Rupa Goswami says, Anya Bilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Dhyanavritam. In other words, there should not be any external motive. One should not attempt material upliftment, thinking this is the goal. Let me have as much land and much gold, woman, man, this, all. If he thinks this is goal, no. But devotees, they will accept material things only as much as necessary for their survival and in relation to Krishna, so that they can serve him. It does not mean that one has to renounce everything. That which is required for Krishna service, that should not be renounced. But here it means any attempt for material upliftment means when someone thinks this is the goal of life, I will gather as much as possible and I will enjoy everything. Then understanding the Supreme by speculative knowledge, the Gyanis they do, fruitive activity, severe austerity and penance, and so on. Like Hiranyakashipu, he was doing severe austerity and penance, but with what target? To gain power, sovereignty over this world. All these activities are against the natural growth of spontaneous love of Godhead. Every jiva has spontaneous love for Krishna inside his heart, but it is now suppressed because we became averse to him by the misuse of our relative independence, and we wanted to enjoy. So that is suppressed or covered or sleeping. So all these things are against the natural growth of love for Krishna. As soon as these are present within the heart should be understood to be unclean and therefore unfit to serve as Krishna's sitting place. We cannot perceive the Lord's presence in our heart unless our hearts are cleansed. A material desire is explained as a desire to enjoy the material world to its fullest extent. In modern language, this is called economic development. But at least if there is like honest economic development, that is still okay. But nowadays, people, they are, for the sake of their money and position, they are directly harming other people. Through cheating, harming, knowingly, they know it is harmful, but they will do, just for their money. But if someone does according to Shastra, that dharma, artha, kama, moksha, artha, to earn money for livelihood and to do dharma, that is still okay. But this type of what is going on now in Kali Yuga is very disgusting how they can do this. An inordinate desire for economic development is considered to be like straws, yes, inordinate, like straws and grains of sand within the heart. If one is overly engaged in material activity, the heart will always remain disturbed. As stated by Narottam Das Thakur, Sangsar Bishanale Dibanishihiya Jwale Juraite na koinu upai. In other words, endeavor for material opulence is against the principle of devotional service. Material enjoyment includes activities such as great sacrifices for auspicious activity, charity, austerity, elevation to higher planetary system, and even living happily within the material world. This is still pious, but it is not pure devotion. But at least it is something good. We will be deprived of eternal welfare, but at least they are doing honestly. But what now in Kali Yuga it is going on. This is very sad to see how they are, for their selfish purposes, directly harming others through violence, through this. Then here, commentary goes further, means all other desires, karma, gyan, yoga, all this has to be removed from the heart. Then Krishna will sit there. It's a long commentary, and there is also this mentality is there, fault finding, the desire for name and fame and for high position. These are subtle. That is why, here it is explained, that is why Mahaprabhu 2 times cleaned. First, there are gross anarthas. Then second time he cleaned, there are subtle anarthas. So these are fault finding, desire for name and fame and for high position, envy of other living entities or violence to them, accepting things forbidden in the Shastra, desire for material gain, hankering for popularity, duplicity, all this is there. Then they are explained. So this has to be removed by, this is called anartha nivritti, cleansing the heart of all unwanted things. Thus, the cleansing of the Gundica Mandir was conducted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to let us know how the heart should be cleansed and suit to receive Lord Shri Krishna and enable him to sit within the heart without disturbance. Because tomorrow Jagannath will come to Gundicha temple from main temple. There, this will hear tomorrow. And here it is mentioned that even Rishinga Mandir, they would clean. Mahaprabhu would clean. And then after they cleaned, there was a big kirtan. Mahaprabhu started congregational chanting, and the Lord, just like a Madan line, danced in the middle. Nama Sankirtan. And tears were flowing from his eyes like the rains in the month of Shravan. And the sky was filled with great and loud chanting of Sankirtan, and the earth shook from the jumping and dancing of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu was encouraging Sarup Damodar to sing, and he was singing, and there was a big kirtan, congregational chanting. Then after some time, according to circumstances, then Mahaprabhu stopped. And then one son of Advaita Acharya fainted, and Advaita Acharya was afraid, and he chanted Nrishinga mantra, but that boy would not raise. Then Mahaprabhu came and he touched his hands on his chest and told him, you rise and you chant. And then Gopal chanted, his son of Advaita Acharya, Achyutananda, Gopal, Krishna Mishra. They are those who are devoted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there are other 3 sons who are not. So only becoming a son of some person does not mean that he will have same qualities. Son of a guru does not necessarily mean that he will also be guru. Son of a doctor does not necessarily mean that he is automatically a doctor. He will have to study and practice and everything. So by the qualities one has to see, not by birth. So here it is shown, Advaita Acharya's 3 sons were bona fide devotees of Mahaprabhu, 3 others were not. So they cannot be accepted in Guru Parampara. By the quality one has to see. Then After the congregational chanting was over, then as every Vaishnava program, then Mahaprabhu in that garden, in Gundica, outside Gundica temple, in that garden, there was prasad. Baninath Rai and Kashi Mishra, they, and Tulsi, one also sitting in the temple, they brought Jagannath Prasad, Mahaprasadam, and all devotees, they were seated in rows, and yes, in this way all the devotees sat down to take their lunch in consecutive lines, one beside the other. Prasad Seva. Yes, Haridas Thakur also. And Sarup Damodar, Jagadananda, Damodar Pandit, Kashishwar, Gopinath, Baninath, and Shankar distributed prasadam, and the devotees chanted the holy names at intervals. And Mahaprabhu was remembering Krishna's pastimes with his cowherd boys having picnic in Vrindavan outside. So seeing here devotees in the garden taking prasad, then he was remembering that lila. Yes, and also here it is mentioned, Mahaprabhu said, you can give me ordinary sabji to me and shak and these things, but you give good items like cake, sweet rice and amrita to devotees. And Mahaprabhu knew what each devotee likes. So he told to Swarup Damodar to give each devotee what he likes to his full satisfaction. Yes. Then so many pastimes here, they are described. We were hearing in Chaitanya Charitamrita how they were eating, honoring prasadam and speaking about Krishna and joking. So much prasad. Gopinath also brought. Yes. All these pastimes, and between Nityananda and Advaita, loving pastimes. Yes. Then Mahaprabhu offered garlands and sandalwood pulp to all his devotee personal associates. Then the next day marked the performance of the festival of Netrotsap. This great festival was the life and soul of the devotees. I heard this from our Srila Bharati Goswami Maharaj. Netra means eyes and Utsap means festival. So Netrotsap, when you combine, it becomes Netrotsap, means festival of the eyes. What is the meaning? Jagannath after Snan Yatra is doing pastime of being sick for 15 days. Then on that day, when Ratha Yatra, they will see him again after that time. So that is festival for the eyes. Netrotsap. Yes, everyone was unhappy for a fortnight because they could not see the deity of Lord Jagannath. Upon seeing the Lord at the festival, the devotees were very happy. That is festival for the eyes. So then, tomorrow, we will hear about the eyes of Lord Jagannath conquered the beauty of blossoming lotus flowers, and his neck was as lustrous as a mirror made of sapphires. The chin of the Lord, tinged with buff color, conquered the beauty of the banduli flower. This increased the beauty of his mild smiling, which was like lustrous waves of nectar. The luster of his beautiful face increased at every moment, and the eyes of hundreds and thousands of devotees drank its honey like bumblebees. As their eyes began to drink the nectarian honey of his lotus face, their thirst increased. Thus their eyes did not leave him. Thus Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees enjoyed transcendental bliss upon seeing the face of Jagannath. This continued to midday. So tomorrow we will hear then yes, no, it seems that this was on the same day, not on the day of Rath Yatra when they were doing this Netrotsap. Because here it is mentioned, knowing that the car festival will take place in the morning, all the servants. Yes. No, I think on same day, but it is described in this way. Anyhow, after getting, after having long separation grief of not seeing Jagannath, then when they could first see him again, then this Netrotsap happened. And tomorrow we'll hear about Rath Yatra and disappearance of Swarup Damodar Goswami.